Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Glory Glory podcast with me, Gail Quinn. And today I'm going to be discussing my seven takeaways from the 1-0 win over Brentford, and I'll take a quick look ahead to Everton at the weekend. Um, first things first, um, really happy with the win. Rashford getting his 20th goal of the season. But obviously, there's a few positives and a few negatives that I want to discuss. So, if everyone could please like the video, get your comments in the live chat, and subscribe to the channel, please. And great to have you here, Brush, as always. Um, the first thing I'm going to discuss is Anthony shooting. How many times did he try and curl it again towards the far corner and didn't find the target once? Just I would like to see him vary it a bit. Could he just shoot to the near post, shoot low, because the goalkeeper won't be expecting it. One thing I did like from Anthony last night was the fact that he went down the line, crossed the ball. McTominay should have done better with his finish. Lovely pick out from Anthony with his right foot. I like to see him do that in every game. It's the first time I really see him do that. Of course, he only has one assist so far. He would get many more if he did that. But yeah, in terms of his shooting, he doesn't always have to try and curl it for the far corner. He could try and shoot low towards the near post because it'll catch the goalkeeper out if he does that. So hopefully he does that against Everton. And you like to think that the coaches would be telling him to do that on the training ground. Because every time you waste one of those curlers, Ten Hag always pulls him over to have a word with them. So I'm wondering why it isn't being coached out of him on the training ground to stop doing that all the time, Anthony. Um, okay, another takeaway is Sabitzer, who had a fantastic performance last night playing number 10, and he got an assist. Lovely cushioned header. It was so clever to Rashford. Um, Sabitzer for me is has more quality than McFred, so I would probably up to sell one of McFred this summer and make Sabitzer a permanent signing. Um, he would be a great rotational option who could play maybe as many as 35 games next season. And he probably would be a snip. I mean, I think Bayern only paid 16 million euro for him, so he would probably be available for something similar. So yeah, I would get that deal done. Um, Sabitzer is very versatile as well. He can play in a variety of positions. Last night at number 10, I think it might have been his first time at number 10, and certainly didn't look out of place. I have to admit, last night I was expecting much more from Brentford. Um, they weren't really that great. I mean, I was worried because we didn't have Casemiro or Ericsson. We are going to be playing McTominay, Sabitzer, Fred, two of those three. I thought that Brentford might cause us a lot of problems, especially with the strike force that they've got too, but that didn't really materialise. I think they had one opportunity, which De Gea saved. It appeared to hit him in the groin area, which looked very painful, and he went down injured for a while. But yeah, De Gea was only called upon once in the game, really. Are you guys surprised by how little Brentford brought to the table on last night? I was, but happy to see it though. And Joe Blackman says he loves Sabitzer as well, and I would totally agree with you on that. Um, my first choice partnership in midfield this season, when everyone's available, would of course be Casemiro and Ericsson. But if one of them's unavailable, then for me the next in line would be Sabitzer. Um, so Rashford, 20th goal of the season. Another fantastic, ruthless finish from Marcus Rashford. And he had a good all-round game as well. He was very dangerous. Um, I think he was playing up front, and then he moved out to the left. He created. What I love about him this season, is he's using his left foot a lot more. He's crossing the ball with his left foot. He's shooting with his left foot, and definitely Ten Hag is all, and maybe Benny McCarthy has played a huge role in that. He created a chance. I think it was a chance for Fred, where Fred skied it into Rose, and that should have been an assist for Rashford. Yeah, and that brings me on to Fred. He should have started the game in my opinion. After what happened at Newcastle, I would have changed it up last night. But Ten Hag doesn't tend to make many changes. After defeat after the Liverpool debacle, he named an unchanged side against Real Betis, and it did work. To be fair, last night he only made one change, bringing Sancho in for Feikhorst. Um, yeah, we've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly from Fred last night. Um, his pressing is excellent. His work rate is phenomenal. Um, and he breaks up play really well. But that finish from the cross from Rashford was absolutely woeful. Um, so yeah, Fred's just one of those players. I'm afraid he can do a lot of good, and then he can frustrate you in the same game. So yeah, Rashford 28 now. He's got to be looking at least 35 for the season now. He's now equal the total that Ibrahimovic got about 5 years ago. Um, so he's got two more, I think, to be level with what Van Persie achieved. The last time he won the league. But I think he can go higher than that. He can get 35 into the kind of Van Nistelrooy figures. Yeah, phenomenal season from Rashford, and he just keeps going, just doing it. Most weeks, and at home to Everton, that's maybe an opportunity for him to get one or two more. He scored against Everton in the FA Cup, didn't he? I think it might have been a penalty. So my next point I want to come to is Martinez. Absolutely unbelievable again. At times he's our best attacker and best defender. Unbelievable with his forward passing, and then his lots of tackling. I love that tackle where he flew in on Ivan Toney, letting him know he was there. I think Tony didn't like it very much, but he got the ball, didn't he? Yeah, he's absolutely sensational. And definitely a big contender for Player of the Season. Do you think, guys? Let me know in the comments. Do you think that Martinez might shade Player of the Season uh, over Casemiro because he hasn't got suspended for 8 games like Casemiro has done? But then again, Rashford it could be Player of the Season as well. It's hard to know. Forwards tend to get it when they score a lot of goals, but definitely it's going to be down to them three, isn't it? Rashford, Casemiro, and Martinez. Ericsson probably out of the running due to missing a chunk of the season through injury. Let me know in the comments who you guys would select as your Player of the Season. Is it Rashford, Casemiro, Martinez, or is it somebody else entirely? Yeah, if you have a different opinion, and welcome that as well. So Niall here, welcome to the show. Niall, good to have you back on with us. Um, hope you're well yourself. So Brush, uh, what did I make of Anthony working Dallo down the right? Um, yeah, Anthony and Dallo, yeah, I think they linked up well at times. I suppose if Anthony's not going to go down the line, then Dallo will provide that for us and get crosses into the middle. But I have to admit that Dallo just doesn't do it for me. He's just very average at both ends of the pitch. At least Wan-Bissaka is absolutely immense as a defender. Um, Dallo isn't immense at anything really, to be honest, and that's why I'm really looking forward to this potential signing of Jeremiah Frimpong, who's just plays as a wing back in many games for Bayer Leverkusen, and it's just absolutely unbelievable going forward. But um, Van Hal has criticised his defending, but I think that would be the perfect duo to have it right back. Frimpong, who's unbelievable in the opposition's half, and then Wan-Bissaka as a one-on-one defender is excellent. So some people would rather keep Dallo and sell Wan-Bissaka. I would take the opposite view on that. I would rather keep Wan-Bissaka, because if you have Wan-Bissaka and Frimpong, you've got a nice balance there. One who can one who can play against the slightly lesser teams, and then if you're going to be in the back foot away at Anfield or away at the Etihad, or you're playing Barcelona, you bring Wan-Bissaka can slot in there. Dallo for me would probably move him on this summer. No, some people might not agree with that. But let me know what you think, guys. So, Brush, due to the goals, it would probably be Rashford, but no doubt Martinez is in the conversation too for Player of the Season. Yeah, I think so as well. Yeah, I think forwards who score 30 goals would tend to get those types of awards. Um, but Martinez would be a very close second or third. Um, yeah, and in a season where we keep a number of clean sheets, and nobody gets uh, to the 30 goal mark, then Martinez would probably win it. But yeah, he's probably going to miss out, and that's a bit unfortunate. But in theory, he wouldn't care as long as we're winning team awards, and he's not going to worry too much about individual awards. Um, so my sixth point I want to make is about Scott McTominay. He made some vital interventions last night. Um, but the thing is, McTominay, the good that he does is always kind of last ditch. He doesn't quite read the game as well as Casemiro, and he can't pick out a pass as well as Cas. So he's just not really a substitute for him. Um, yeah, and his shot that, like I alluded to earlier, just what he should have scored, should have done better with that. If he's wearing a Scotland shirt though, he would have buried that chance with Anthony created for him. But yeah, Scott McTominay. If Newcastle offered 25 million for him this summer, then I would 100% take the cash, because as we know, we will need to sell to buy this summer, regardless of who the owners are. If we're going to stay in line with FFP. Now I know that certain clubs don't care about FFP, and they find a way around it, but I would rather not United. Don't want United being sanctioned by the Premier League or UEFA. I want to stay clear of that. So I would rather raise some funds through sales this summer, if possible. And we need a bit of a clear anyway. The squad is bloated with a lot of average players, a lot of dead wood. So I wouldn't mind, getting rid of a few this summer and raising as much as 90 or 100 million if possible. Um, so on a seventh point I want to make is about Martial. Now, he came on as a substitute. He did all right. He's obviously offers a lot more than Fekir, to say the least. He's a much better footballer. Um, when it comes to Martial, his ability is never in doubt. It's about his application and about his availability, and those are the major issues. And the availability this season has been an absolute joke. He must have missed at least 2/3 of the season. Um, so it'd be brilliant if he could stay fit at the end of the season until we bring someone in, because if we're being honest, Veghorst is a good guy. He's an honest bloke. He gives you a shift, but he's producing nothing in the final third. 2 goals in 19 starts is abysmal at this level. So if once Ten Hag said that Martial's not quite there yet in terms of his fitness to start games, but hopefully he will be by Everton or Sevilla. So as soon as it's possible to start Martial, I will. But I would. But the issue is he could get injured again at any moment, and that would be the end of his season. So that's always the trouble with Anthony Martial. But let's hope he stays fit to the end of the season at least, and then he can start some games, because Anthony, Rashford, and Martial as a front three is very, very interchangeable, very fluid, and it cause opposition a lot of problems if they're on their game. So yeah, if he's fit enough to start, I would start him against Everton at the weekend, and play him for 60 minutes or so, and maybe bring him off to protect him, providing he hasn't got injured by that point. Um, yeah, those are my five main points, or not five main points, my five or seven takeaways from the game. I'm just going to do a quick rundown of my player ratings from the game. So De Gea will get a 7 from me, crucial save. Jallo, disappointing night again from him, a 5. Varane, a 7, at least as always. Martinez, my man of the match, gets an 8. Malacia, a 6. Malacia never does anything wrong, but never does anything particularly brilliant. So he's a real good, solid backup. I thought Luke Shaw looked really up for it from the start last night. Unfortunately, he got injured after about 35 minutes. But he was flying forward. He was pressing high, winning the ball high up the pitch. There was overlapping runs, getting crosses into the middle. He was taking some nice corners as well. He did that interview after the game in Newcastle, and he questioned the kind of the hunger and the attitude of the players. But his attitude was on point last night, that's for sure. And it was very frustrating that he had to come off, and he potentially could have a hamstring injury that could keep him out for a few weeks. So hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. Because Malacia doesn't quite offer what Shaw offers in the offensive third of the pitch. Um, McTominay would get an average 6 for me. Just making last ditch interventions in his own penalty area, and then when he's in the opposition box, he fails to score. And he doesn't read the game, or he can't pass. Like typical McTominay is where he wins the ball back in his defensive third, and then he looks up, plays a 30-yard pass, and just gives it away. Uh, That's just the type of player he is, I'm afraid. Just a massive drop off from Cass. Sabitzer though totally different. He's got quality. There's a reason why he's the captain of RB Leipzig. The reason why Bayern Munich bought him. Because there's a player in there. And I thought he excelled at the number 10 role last night, and he got a clever assist. So I would give him a 7. Bruno a 6. He played an absolutely wonderful ball for during one of our counter attacks last night. I think was it Rashford he played in. Rashford or Sancho, I can't remember. It was a beautiful ball with the outside of his right foot. But there were so many passes last night that went astray from Bruno, and just giving the ball away and putting us under pressure again. Um, so 6 for him. Anthony a 6. Yeah, not. I thought he was dangerous against Newcastle, and really made life difficult for Domburn. Last night, he just frustrated me again. He had 5 shots where he tried to curl it into the four corner, and none of them I think were on target. Um, he did have a good cross with his right foot, which McTominay should have scored from. But yeah, he's like Nani. He goes from the sublime to the ridiculous. And we need to give him time though. This is his bed in season. Next season we'll want to see more consistency from Anthony and adding more tools to his arsenal. Um, Rashford and definitely 8 for me. An all round good performance. Lovely, lovely direct play, creating chances for others, and a ruthless finish for his goal. So 8 for Rashford. Sancho, um, good in parts, but not so good in other parts. So probably a 6. He's just not as lively as what Rashford is, and he's lacking in confidence because sometimes he's facing up the fullback and he just takes the easy option and passes it back to Martinez or Shaw or whoever, and rather than taking his man on. He didn't do that enough last night, but hopefully his confidence improves and we can see the Rashford that we all hope we'd see when he was signed for £73 million. He's just not doing it at the moment, and some fans are getting cheesed off with Jadon Sancho, with his inconsistency. Some fans are of the opinion that he should be moved on in the summer. I'm not so sure because we're not going to be able to make him like 10 signings in the summer. There's some players we're just going to have to persevere with for at least another year, and Sancho's probably one of them. I think once you've signed for that kind of money, you tend to get you know 3 seasons. I don't think that Ten Hag will give up on him after 2 seasons. So we'll see how it goes anyway. So Ten Hag would probably get a 7 for me. Yeah, he picked the right team. They were up for it from the start. And his substitutions did okay as well. So yeah, probably a 7 for Ten Hag. So just a quick look ahead to Everton at the weekend. Everton obviously playing a lot better under Sean Dyche. Michael Keane getting that world even equaliser against Spurs. Thankfully, this game is not at Goodison. They would have the crowd behind them. And I think United seem to struggle with these away crowds. We need to start picking up wins away from home. It really is bugging me now. But thankfully, this game is at home, and hopefully we can win it like we did in the FA Cup. Um, Now, Ten Hag is not ruled out the possibility of Christian Eriksen being involved in this game. How wonderful would it be to see Eriksen come on for the last 10 minutes? I think he would get a standing ovation from the crowd. Um, and maybe if that does happen, then it's possible that Eriksen could partner Casemiro against Sevilla. That would be absolutely unbelievable. And just what we need for the running. This is the business end of the season. We want our best players available. And any team that would be missing their first choice midfield pairing would suffer badly. If you took De Bruyne and Guduan out of that City midfield, despite all the options they have, they would suffer. So we don't have the kind of options that they have. We're down to McTominay, Fred, and Sabitzer. Um, so Casemiro and Eriksen's been a huge loss. We've been missing Eriksen since January, thanks to Andy Carroll and his savageness. And Casemiro keeps getting suspended all the time. And please, no more suspensions, please. Casemiro, let's stay available to the end of the season. Um, Yeah, the team is looking a bit leggy, so I think Casemiro and Ericsson to a lesser extent would bring in fresh legs, which is much needed to that midfield. So delighted to get 3 points. We're back in the top four. Um, Newcastle were awesome, weren't they, in that 5-1 win against West Ham? So they're looking favourites at the moment to finish in the top four ahead of Spurs. So hopefully we can hold off Spurs and finish the top four ourselves. But we still got to go to Spurs at the end of the month. That could be a hugely important game in terms of who finishes in the top four. And our away record against the big sides is atrocious. But you know, these things have to end. Bad runs have to end, and Tottenham would be the perfect place for us to end our bad run of away results against the so-called big teams in the league. So yeah, obviously the titles between Arsenal and Man City. Arsenal big favourites for that one. And the third and fourth positions seem to be between Newcastle, Spurs, and ourselves. Potentially Brighton could come into the equation. But I think Liverpool have blown it, Chelsea have blown it, and Brentford. I think definitely. I don't think they're in the conversation anyway. But definitely after last night, that's it over for them. Can you believe that Chelsea reappointed Frank Lampard as manager? I don't think anyone would have seen that coming this time last week. Um, but I suppose it's because Nagelsmann and Enrique don't want to take over until the summer transfer window is open. Um, so they've had to make do with an interim, and they've went for Lampard. But they know what Lampard brings to the table. They know what Lampard brings to the table. I'm surprised they didn't go for JT for a couple of months to see what he can bring. But anyway, their chances of top four this season are well over. Um, so hopefully we can make it. Let's get the 3 points against Everton on Saturday lunchtime, and me and Brush will be back with a podcast about 3 o'clock on Saturday. So so we'll see you all then, guys. If anyone could please smash the like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment your thoughts in down below. And I will see everybody on Saturday.